Hey, what's up? It's Ashley. So in this video, I'm going to go over the 3 steps you need to beat your cravings once and for all for fucking ever, capiche, all right? So what typically happens when people join a quote weight loss program or sign with a trainer or somebody like that? So here's why what you're currently doing is not working, and then I'm going to go over those 3 steps. So stuff like staying motivated, staying accountable, staying like you're just staying stuck essentially. That's why it's so hard for you, because when you're constantly searching for sources of motivation and accountability, you are exhausted. You're fucking exhausted. Your body, your mind, your brain, all of the above is just completely fucking over it. And that's why so many people fail with weight loss and with their fitness goal in general, is because that constant state, you're essentially like, imagine a hamster on a hamster wheel. That's basically you right now. So that's why it doesn't work. It's exhausting and you're constantly always searching for that, right? But what if you can actually like rewire how your brain thinks? So this is going to be controversial, but morning affirmations or affirmations in general is not actually effective in rewiring your brain. Why? Because rewiring your brain is a 2-pronged system, and I'm going to get into that later in this video, but that type of stuff and shit just doesn't work. I'm not saying it's harmful to have something like a workout buddy or something like that. It's not necessarily harmful, but if you're always relying on that exterior source for motivation and stuff and accountability, it's going to keep you stuck. And that's why what 99% of fitness pros, experts, nutritionists, trainers, whatever the fuck it is that they call themselves, that shit doesn't work. It does not work long term, right? Like if you see a very flashy TikTok or whatever that they just lost weight, congrats to them. But the real meat and potatoes is, can you maintain it year after year? More importantly, with that time comes life changes. Iron's in the rug, essentially, right? So we all know what happened almost 3 years ago, and that was the pandemic. So that threw a lot of people for a loop, right? You want to be able to see, can they maintain it? Can they battle test the hell out of it? And can they maintain it, right? That's the meat and potatoes that's going on my 15th year keeping it off. So here's the 3 steps that is going to help you beat your cravings. Now that you understand why that type of shit muddles your brain of what 99% of other quote fit pros do, those motivational quotes and those affirmations, they're not actually rewiring your brain, right? It's just giving you more shit up in here, and it's not actually getting the job done, and it will not get the job done. Sorry, not sorry. So here's the first step that you need to do to beat your cravings. The first step is you have to understand your root cause. Now, this root cause is not, it is not a food trigger. It is not like the food itself, right? So a food trigger could be something like, it could be a situation, it could be a person, it could be a place, right? But we're not necessarily saying like the trigger itself is the root cause. It's actually going a layer or 2 deeper than that. And we're actually trying to examine what's really going on here, right? So an example of where a common fit pro or fit expert or trainer will tell you the root cause is they'll tell you, well, your root cause is that you're stressed at work. Okay, well, that's great, but why are you stressed at work, right? Work stress by itself doesn't just like pop into the atmosphere, guys. It just doesn't happen, right? It doesn't just happen overnight. So here is where I differentiate in how I go about solving a client's problem, and it blows all the other amateurs clear the fuck out of the water, and it will blow your shit out of the water too. Sounds probably more distressing than it needed to, but you need to understand why that stress at work is happening. So this is just an example, one of many, one of like dozens or hundreds actually, but it's very common for weight gain and continual weight gain and problems with your weight. So we have stress at work, right? But we need to understand why that stress at work is happening. What's going on at work? what's going on at home, right? Is your husband just pissed off because you're at work all the time? That could be causing the work stress while you're at work. If it's not necessarily your manager or your boss, or if you're the boss, if you're the CEO, right? It could not necessarily be your metrics or your numbers are not right, right? It could be the fact that you have a spouse at home who's stressing you the fuck out. And in turn, that's causing the work stress. That's causing you to have anxiety on the job. It's causing you to have like stomach problems, migraines, headaches, nerves, all sorts of shit, right? So once you actually figure out, okay, where is this problem stemming from, right? Another example, I worked in vet med. If you're in medicine or you know people who are, then this reference is going to be relevant to you for shits and giggles for another reference. So you can picture this in your head. What I'm trying to get across here is like when we would have a patient come in with a laceration, right? You would see the blood. You would see the blood like on their limb or on their body, right? But just because you see the blood over like a limb, like let me grab one of my pet stuffed animals right here. Okay, so I have one of my pet stuffies. There's fur all over it. Excuse that. But so say if our lamb chop here was our patient and say they're, you know, his like hands are bleeding, right? You see the red all over the hand, right? But say if the actual cut was like right here, right? You wouldn't be able to see that at first because you saw all of that, right? So what do you have to do to identify where it's coming from, right? You need to start looking at it, cleaning it up, looking for a cut, right? So that's essentially what we're doing. I'm gonna put that back down. We're looking for the cut, right? We're looking for the source of the bleeding. We're looking to stop that bleeding, right? We're looking to halt it. So something very vague like home stress, stress at work, personal life stress. All of these topics are very, 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 very vague, right? They don't tell you really anything about your situation, right? So if you've worked with other people in fitness or something before, this is why this area is such a gray area for you, and it's why it's muddy as hell, and it's why you haven't been seeing any sort of result. You need to get to that cut. You need to find the source of the bleeding, okay? That's step one. Step two is you need to have a behavior reconditioning plan in place. That is the second step. You have to have some sort of knowledge of neuroscience, how your behavior is going to be reconditioned, right? If you forever want to solve your cravings problem, right? Your waking problem, whatever you want to phrase it as, you have to recondition your behavior. Because if you're, like we said earlier, if you're going to continually rely on these quotes and these like outside sources of motivation and quote accountability, you're going to keep feeling stuck and you're going to feel exhausted as fuck because of it, because you're going to just keep spinning your wheels, right? So here's the secret sauce that everybody else in the weight loss space and everybody else in the fitness industry is missing, right? It's rewiring your brain. It's behavior conditioning. It's what I did. It's what my clients have done. It's exactly what I go through in the Diet Killer plan and then also in my one-on-one coaching. But what is behavior reconditioning, right? Here's also where people get it wrong. They treat it as a one-way street. So this is that two-pronged system that I was talking about earlier. This is where it comes into play, right? Your brain is more moldable and it's more plastic or manipulatable than you realize, right? You can program it to do what the hell you want it to do. You can. It's not impossible. It's more difficult than what you've probably, like, if you try to do it by yourself, it's very, very hard. And it's a topic that people don't typically talk about. You need to tell your brain what you need it to do, number one. And number two, you need to tell it what you don't want it to do. And there needs to be a reinforcement for both of these, okay? And this is where people fuck up. They only tell their brain what they want it to do. You know, they never like have that two-way feedback system in place. They only tell it what they want it to do. And that's typically seen with affirmations and shit like that. That's why you're stuck. That's why it's not working, okay? And I'm getting excited about it because this is my wheelhouse and I fucking love it. And it's just amazing. And it's so surprising that more people don't know about this. But that two-pronged system is you need to tell what you want it to do, and then you need to tell it what you don't want it to do, right? And you need to have a reinforcement for each, okay? So that's the second step. That's where that comes into play. Again, I go through this process with people so they don't lose a lot more time, and so they actually have it be sustainable and realistic from day one, and they're not just throwing spaghetti at the walls. So let's get into the third step for beating your cravings for good. And that is you have to implement that system, right? You have to implement that system. If you say you're going to do it and you never do it, it's like good as dead, basically. It never actually is going to happen. So you have to implement it in a consistent way, right? So here's another area where people screw up with it is they don't follow through with their reinforcement. They don't, okay? It's, say, like, remember, like, it's not grade school, but remember, like, if you got a sticker or something, like, for doing your homework, and then remember, like, if you had something taken away, or you had, like, a sticker taken off or something if you didn't do your homework, that's a very basic reinforcement system, essentially. But, of course, this is on a higher level where adults are not in fucking grade school. I'm not going to do a fucking sticker chart for you. Somebody comes to me asking me for that, I'm just going to look at you like, good luck with that, buddy. But that's essentially what, on the very basic level, that's what I'm talking about. And if you don't execute that consistently as a teacher, I've been a teacher for kind of disordered kids before. I can promise you, if you're not consistent with it, they will find the loophole in the lack of consistency, and they will bring it up, and they will hang on to that, and everything else you do or say as a teacher will not be relevant. If you've been a teacher at all, you know you have to be consistent in your system of managing your classroom. You have to be from day one. They will try to find loopholes in your system. That's what your brain does, right? Your brain, like I said, is very plastic. It's not plastic as in, like, you know, the cheap fucking shit from China. I'm talking about it being moldable. You're able to get it to do something you want it to fucking do, right? But if you are not consistent with it, your brain's gonna get, number one, confused. Number two, what's gonna happen? Your neuronal pathways, or how your brain talks to itself, is going to look for another path, right? Think about a traffic jam when you're coming home from work, or you're out shopping, or you're out doing whatever you need to do, and you see a sign that says road closed, detour, and you're like, oh, fuck no, I'm not doing a detour. But you know the city and you know the streets, and you want to do a shorter route than what the detour is going to do, right? That's essentially what your brain will do if you're not consistent. It's going to find a loophole. It's going to find another way out. And that is going to make your cravings worse. Because instead of actually solving the problem or paving the road, your brain's going to do this zigzaggy way, this very roundabout way of trying to fix the problem, trying to fix the craving solution. And in turn, you're not going to have any sort of feedback system in place. And you're just going to have the cravings again. I can't tell you how many people who have been addicted to so much shit. It doesn't have to be food. It doesn't have to be sugar. It doesn't have to be junk food, right? That craving is real, right? So this is why sometimes I get people who have been coached by me who have problems with something else. It may not be weight loss. It may not be sugar. It may not be junk food, because they know that I can recondition their brain effectively and efficiently, and we get the job done, right? Like, this way of going about losing weight and effectively eliminating your cravings for good, like, period, capiche, out of the building, like Elvis has left the building, type of left the building, like gone, okay? It's not for people who are wishy-washy. Like, if you've ever had a handshake and they do this type of shit, right? It's called like the limp dead fish handshake. And this is what we're talking about when we're trying to compare it to some other way to lose weight. If you half-ass it, if you're someone who half-asses shit, then this way is not for you. Like, go do whatever little quote-y thing you think you're going to go do, and you're just going to get half-assed, half-baked results, and that's all you're ever going to have. But for somebody who's sick of that, and they've been searching for this solution, and they've been trying so hard to find something that actually works, they've been looking up shit, they've been going online, they've been trying to research people and find shit that actually is going to solve their problem, then this is your solution. So that's who it's going to work for and who it's not going to work for. So if you've seen any of my stories in the past couple days or my posts in the past couple days, you know I'm having an early access Black Friday offer for my program, that signature program, the Diet Killer Plan. Go take a look at that. And if you have any questions about it, then you're free to shoot me a DM or comment on this video wherever in the internet you see it at. And yeah, that's basically it. So those are the 3 steps to effectively eliminate your cravings for good, so that way you can lose weight in an effective manner. And again, this is something that is not typically done by people who can take it and run with it, because there are moving pieces and moving parts that have to be in place, and it has to be sustainable, and it has to be effective for you. That's the kicker. It's not necessarily what mine was, or what client A's was, or something like that, or, you know, Sarah's from almost 2 years ago. It's for you and your life, and what makes sense for you, and what's valuable and not valuable to you in your life, right? So that's the kicker. And a lot of the times people get stuck with it, and then they just never ever actually figure it out, and then they gain more weight, and then it's a holy shit and all this bunch of mess. So if you want to treat yourself this holiday season and save yourself a shit ton of migraine and headache and frustration and bullshit in your weight loss journey, then you absolutely need to be in my program, the Diet Killer Plan. Check it out. Got a Black Friday still going on. Shoot me a message with any questions you got. And yeah, I'll post the details of that in like either the caption or the comments of wherever this video, whatever the hell I choose to post it at. So all that detail stuff will be there. And have a great rest of your day. I'm Ashley. I'll catch you later.